Hi, I'm Brian Resnick.
And I'm Hal Resnick.
Welcome to the conference room for our first episode of Real Estate with the Resnicks.
Yes, we are brothers, and some may call us title nerds, but we're lifelong Baltimoreans. We wanted to start this show off and pull the curtain back on real estate from our perspective and talk about the city we love and the counties that surround it.
On a day-to-day basis, I manage the Towson office for Community Title Network.
And my office is the one in Baltimore City, McHenry Row. We are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. We have over 20 locations in Maryland, D.C., Virginia, Delaware, and Ohio. And we can handle West Virginia settlements out of our Frederick branch.
So obviously, we've done this for a long time, and I hear this question a lot. How did we end up in title?
So our dad, Stuart Resnick, and this is going to be a biased opinion probably shared by both of us, is one of the best title attorneys in Maryland. He owned a title company when we were younger. We both worked there on and off, and sort of how we got our starts in the title world, by doing recordation, couriers, just learning the industry from the ground up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we both followed a very similar path. I think our time there maybe overlapped a little bit, but for the most part, I don't think we were ever really there too much at the same time. But yeah, I remember, in the early days, just filing papers away, arranging the file cabinets, and then once we got our licenses, becoming couriers, recording documents, and then ultimately doing some title abstracting.
Yeah, I remember doing some abstracting, definitely a lot of refinances. I would do the one or two owner searches. So I spent years doing that and got real comfortable doing that. Some purchases that weren't as complicated with foreclosures, they tend to add complications that I wasn't really comfortable handling, but refinances and some easy purchases I tended to take care of.
Yeah, and for our more younger audience out there, doing title searches back in those days, you actually went to the courthouse, you pulled out the big books, they all smelled exactly the same way, and you had to make copies. It wasn't just doing everything online. So there was actually, physically going to do the title search. It wasn't just looking at your computer.
Well, luckily I didn't have to do too much of going to pull the books off the shelves, but I do recall having to do that sometimes.
And I certainly remember spending many days standing in line in Baltimore City recording documents at the end of a fiscal year.
Yeah, definitely did that a lot. I remember going to all over the place. I remember being in, Cambridge, Anne Arundel,
Hartford, Bel Air,
Prince George's, Montgomery, and had my favorites. I definitely had my favorites to go do recordations in. Some I did not care for at all. Some were wonderful to work with.
Absolutely.
I will not say which county was which.
That's a good idea. So what happens in your life outside of the office?
Let's see. I am married with two boys, Ethan and Zach, 15 and 12, almost 13. I have a tennis player, a golfer, a baseball player. He wants to be a golfer also. I'm part of a business organization and business referral group called LaTip, where we pass business leads to each other. For enjoyment for me, I like to play golf. I coach my youngest Ethan's baseball team, and I follow Orioles and the Terps and the Ravens. But I'm more of a diehard baseball fan than a football fan, since I didn't have a team for about 15 years when I was growing up.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to talk about the Orioles this year. Or maybe not a lot.
Nothing good, certainly.
How
about you?
A lot of youngness still needs to find their way. Very similar situation. Obviously, I'm married my high school sweetheart, Stacy. We have two girls, unlike your two boys, two girls. Anna's 21. She's a junior, just finishing her junior year at Maryland. Samara will turn 18 in 2 weeks. She's graduating from high school this year, and next year she will be a freshman at the University of Delaware. Within the industry, I spend a lot of time working with MBIA, which is the Maryland Building Industry Association. I sit on the board of directors there, as well as on a number of committees. I am also the liaison for MBIA and MLTA, the Maryland Land Title Association. Outside of all that, I enjoy playing racquetball. I play a couple days a week. I also play golf, not as often as I'd like. One of these days, I may be able to even beat you on the course. I know that's not something that typically happens, but I'll get there. Same thing. Fan of Baltimore sports, Ravens and Orioles, of course, and Maryland Terrapins. We both graduated from there, and it's just our alma mater and where we what we call home.
Yeah, so a roadmap of what's going to come next in this series. We plan to cover topics within the real estate, different areas. We'll dive into title insurance topics that we see every day, but we'll also try and bring in guests to speak about other aspects, market conditions, loan programs, surveys. We're open to suggestions, but those are the kinds of things we're looking to bring light to and kind of share with everybody.
Yeah, as we said, we're both hometown fans, Orioles, Ravens, Terps. We'll talk about them from time to time. Orioles is currently, obviously, baseball is in full swing. NFL, they just recently had the draft, so we can certainly talk about the Ravens and things to come with them.
Schedule's coming out next week.
Yeah, and I heard this morning on the radio they're already starting to leak some of the games that are happening. There's a lot of excitement in the city, a lot of excitement in Baltimore surrounding all this, and Maryland basketball just had a pretty good transfer portal and players signed, so hopefully they'll be looking up this year also.
Yeah, as Brian talked about, we like to play golf, and we've gone on some trips here and there, so at some point we can have discussions about courses we played. I was lucky enough to get to play Pinehurst No. 2 and Kiowa Island, so been to some of the nice historic courses in the not too distant area. I haven't really gotten too much away from the East Coast for the most part, but some definitely nice courses played.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the nicest courses I played was a course out in Vegas. It was sitting on the Wynn property, and we were out there. We had caddies with us. The course was amazing. The caddies, just playing golf with the caddy is an incredible thing to do because they have such knowledge of the course that you could just be dead on a fairway or in 3 fairways over, and they'll tell you which leaf to aim at and how far to hit it, and you'll be sitting pretty.
Kiowa Island was similar. We had to play with caddies, weren't allowed to use carts, and caddies really do know the best, and if you can listen to them, it really does help the score get better.
For sure. If only they could putt for me.
Hit a driver on occasion.
I can do that typically pretty well. So whether we're talking about the Orioles in the bottom of the ninth or the Ravens in a playoff game, there's always drama, especially in our professional lives. As I mentioned before, we've been in this business for a long time, collectively close to 50 years, if not 50 years. So what's some of the craziest or strangest reasons that one of your closings has fallen apart?
All right, so I had one where, amazingly, it actually happened a couple times in a row or a couple times within a short period of time where a seller just decided they didn't want to sell. So we had processed the file 100%. We were ready for closing. We had everything we needed. We had money from the buyers. We had money from the lender. The seller just said pound sand. But it couldn't just end like that. We actually had to go to the settlement table because the buyer had to show in good faith that they made every attempt to buy the property. So I was there with buyers and sellers who didn't want to be in the same room at the same time, who couldn't have a nice word for each other.
The sellers actually showed up?
Yep. Sellers had to show up or else they were going to lose the case in court. So sellers had to show up. I had managers from different real estate brokerages there, and we basically sat there staring at each other for probably a half an hour. It was pretty much the most uncomfortable situation I've ever been a part of.
Wow.
It was ridiculously awkward, and it did not settle as everyone expected. But it was not comfortable to live through that experience at that specific moment.
Did you hear follow-up? Was there a lawsuit? What happened?
I don't know if there was a lawsuit. I think what happened was the buyers were able to get released from the contract. They let the seller go because it wasn't going to be in their best interest. Because what I believe happens is if you actually go to sue, you can't go buy another house because if the court rules in your favor, you have to buy that house. So if they wanted to move along, they actually had to just release the seller and start over from scratch. So that's what I believe happened.
Well, hopefully at least they got their deposit back.
They were definitely going to get the deposit back because the seller wanted to get out of the contract. So, it was just remarkably uncomfortable. How about you? What you got?
So this situation has happened to me three separate times that I can remember, and 3 different lenders. So it's not like there was one particular lender who just wasn't providing information about this. So, as we go through this series, we're going to pull back the curtain to kind of learn about what it takes to process a file and all that stuff. So same thing. We were 100% processed, ready to close. The lender finalized their underwriting and they issued the clear to close. Clear to close is the words that we all yearn for. That means we're ready to go. The buyer heard the message and again, 3 different occasions. Heard the message and they said, oh great, we're clear to close. And they quit their job. They figured that they were clear to close, everything was good, it didn't matter, so they were able to quit their jobs and they could settle, and then after they moved into the house, they could worry about finding a new job.
Is that a problem?
So, each lender found it a little disconcerting, and they decided that we couldn't close. Just like that, because their income source was gone, the lender canceled the loan at the 11th hour, and I never saw those buyers at the settlement table. So those are just, 2 of many examples, things that we go through. Mine was certainly an example of why not to make a big life change until after you settle. If you're going through this process, if you're buying a house, if you're refinancing, if you have to do anything, if you want to do anything that could affect your income, your credit, talk to your lender. Don't go buy a car. Don't go open up any new accounts. I know a lot of people like to buy a house and say, oh, I need to furnish my house. Let me go buy a whole lot of furniture. Oh, I'm going to open up the store card because I get 10% and is 0% zero payments for a year. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, you don't want to change debt ratios as you're approaching the settlement.
No.
Definitely does not end well.
Most lenders don't really like that, especially the underwriters.
I got one more story if we have time for it.
I'm sure we do.
So we were again all the way processed. I was sitting at the table with the buyers and sellers, and this was at a time where the industry was having some difficulties just in general. We had a lender package. We did not have a lender wire, which was not completely uncommon at that point. We didn't always have a lender wire prior to closing. And it was one of the most cordial settlements I've ever been a part of. The buyers and sellers really got along well. The agents were wonderful, and we were having a really good time. We finished the closing. We went to look for the wire and found that the lender had gone out of business. It was quite possibly the most unique scenario that I have ever been a part of, because you don't really see lenders fail. It was, the 29, 8, 9, somewhere back then, when all of a sudden the industry sort of got difficult and a lot of lenders failed, and we actually had a lender fail after sending us the closing package but before sending us the wire.
It was definitely a crazy time, and you started to hear more and more stories similar to that. I think your situation was as close as I ever got to it, but I've definitely heard of it happening. I don't remember, were your people able to find alternate financing to finally close that just a little bit later?
Yeah, so what happened was we were able to go get a different lender involved, and within about a week, we got back to the settlement table. We had to adjust the fee structure. We had to match up the fees with the lender as we normally would, and some money had already showed up, and some things were already posted, and I'm getting a little technical, but some things were already processed in our file that we had to sort of work around, because sometimes things just get stuck in there, and after hours of reworking everything, we were able to close with a new lender within about a week. It was truly a unique, spectacular, not in a good way situation, but it ended well because we figured out a way forward.
I have one more quick one also about doing a major life change. This one ultimately didn't make the settlement not happen, but it's just a funny story that I'll always remember. So this was a house, it was new construction. I've worked with a lot of builders over my career. This was one particular builder that we actually did the closings in the sales model. The lender for this particular loan actually showed up. He was there with us, along with the salesperson was in the other office, working on some things while we settled. We get done, we settle, everything went exactly as we wanted it to. I'm getting ready to finalize what I was doing and provide the keys to the buyer. And as all that's happening, he makes a statement to the salesperson who knew that we were just about done. So he had walked back in the room, and the borrower looked at him and said, the new Suburban I bought, I'm not sure it's going to fit in the garage. And the loan officer and I kind of locked eyes and just pretend we heard nothing, and we all walked out.
Good decision.
But don't do that. Don't do that. Wait until after settlement.
Yeah, that's definitely not good. But I mean, as you've seen, we've seen some really bad case scenario stuff. And one of our goals with this show is to help you reach the best outcomes. If you're an agent looking at this, how has someone else's experience gone down in a certain way? Does that help you not go down that same road? If you're on that same road, does it help you with a way forward? Next time we're going to take a deep dive and discuss what a title company does and how it protects you, how it protects the clients, the people, what we really do for a living. I'm not just pushing papers. If you have any questions or if there's a topic you want us to cover, just let us know in comments and emails. We will happily discuss that with you.
This is a great first show. Thank you for joining the premiere episode of Real Estate with the Resnicks. Give us a like, hit subscribe or follow, and we hope to see you next time in the conference room.